So today we're going to be doing another core on the ball challenge, or another core on the ball basic series. So we'll start on the balance ball. Well, let's go ahead and just start with a little bit of bounce up and down, just because it feels pretty nice and it's fun to do. So just kind of getting things moving, just a little, not a big bounce. I don't want your head bobbing, like, you know, your neck moving and stuff. Just keep your chin gently down and keep a little bit of action in your core, because we don't want that kind of spring loaded in the spine. I just want a little bit of kind of compression and release. And then we'll come back to center. And now just taking a nice little kind of side to side movement with your hips. Okay, a little bit more like a little pendulum. So noticing that your shoulders are staying really steady. Shoulders back and down, hips just gently moving side to side, using the side waist muscles here to help move you side to side. And we'll take another pause. Go ahead, I'm turning sideways just a bit, so go ahead here and just kind of take a little bit of a rock back with your hips and then drawing under just slightly. So you don't even have to have a big drawing under, you can just rock back and then just kind of scoop and round without really moving your hips much. So if you don't need to kind of round in that low back space very much, just kind of round more in your thoracic or upper, but scoop your belly. You can always scoop without doing a C-spine, right? So C-spine here where it looks like the letter C, or just a plain scoop without doing that big C. Okay, so let's try 3 more. Scoop in, and 1, 3. That's 3 to 1. 2, I forgot 2, and 1, and come back to center. So making sure you're breathing with all your movements. We'll start to scoochie it back. So continuing from where we were last week, we'll just start with the ball. Make sure it's on a mat. Okay, so I think you all are aware of that, but let's make sure it's on a mat. We're going to start to walk out. We might go a little faster this time. So shoulders back and down. Taking a big step, reaching 1, 2, 3, 4. Lift in your table here, just kind of reverse table, and lower down. Okay. Walk back, 1, 2, 3, 4. Stand tall on the ball with your booty down. Come back out, 1, 2, 3, 4, and lift like a little bridge, kind of elevated bridge. Walk back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and pause. So if your ball starts to kind of scoot off the mat when you go back, just adjust it. Take another walk. And then pause and lift. Rock it back down. Walk, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to lift your left knee up. Your arms can be out for balance or on the ball. Nice big step. 1, 2, 3. Lift your right leg, balance, and then step it back. 4, 3, 2, left leg up, 1. Now walk, 1. So I need my ball on the mat. 1, 2, 3, right leg float, and then bring it down. Step back, 1, 2, 3, 4, and pause with that left knee up, and then just set it down. We'll switch to the other side. So taking right leg up, scoop the belly, step, 1, 2, 3, left leg up, pause, step it back, 1, 2, 3, and right leg up, float. Okay. Stepping, 1. So I want you to pull up first from your pelvic floor, left leg float. Step it back, 1, 2. It's okay if you feel really wobbly. Just focus. Try not to just look at your screen. I want you to focus ahead of you. Stepping right, left, right, float left, and then step it back. 1, 2, 3, 4, and release. Very nice. Have a seat on your ball. So we're starting all our movements from the pelvic floor. Okay, so just trying to kind of lift, like these little trampoline muscles that are underneath you, and you've got to kind of lift the trampoline, give it a little bit of tightening underneath. So I don't really like the word tightening, but we're adding a contraction to kind of float it up a little bit, and then we're zipping up, belly to spine, all the way up from pubic bone to belly button. And then I want your girdle muscles to engage. So let's find the girdle muscles here. So just hands kind of close to your ribs here. Okay. So it could just be your palms kind of resting on the top of your rib cage. Okay. Shoulders back and down. Take a breath into where your hands are. So you might just kind of slightly interlace your fingers. Inhale, try to breathe into your palms. And you get wider through this midsection right here. Okay. Exhale, I want you to zip up, blow it out. So we're going to try that again. So the fingertips, if they're just interlaced and you breathe into the lower lobes of your lungs, okay, then the fingers are going to come apart just a little bit as your rib cage expands outward. Okay. Exhale, pulling it all back together like you're tightening a girdle around your waist. So we'll try just 2 more. Inhale. Exhale, relax your shoulders. And again, inhale. So every time you take these breaths in, I want you to see if you can get a little wider just through that midsection space, not just your belly breath. Blow it out. And if you're used to doing more of a deep diaphragmatic breath, it may feel a little funny. And if you tend to only breathe in your chest, you're going to feel a little bit awkward. Okay, so let's release. But it's just important to get that breath down before we go any further. Okay, so we really want to focus with that breath and all of the deep engagement. So we're going to find the balance. This is where our stability is going to come from. So finding your balance here. Feet separated about hip distance. Let's take a little challenge. Opposite arm and leg. So floating just your right leg up and your left arm. Pause and then bring it back down. So see if you can kind of zip up first. I want you to get really tall, like you could grow an inch just a bit, all the way from the base of your belly, all the way up to the top of your head. And then start to float. Lifting and lower down. So again with your breath, inhale, exhale. Shifting and lift, inhale, exhale down. So not just moving limbs, making sure that you really draw in and up. Lift that little trampoline underneath you, lift your pelvic floor muscles, then pull the belly towards spine. And like you could take your hip points and kind of pull them closer together. Okay? And then your rib cage, drawing in. Lots is happening there. Just think though, it's like a girdle. Okay, let's go. Last 4, down, 3, breathing, 2, make sure your hips aren't rolling forward, they're staying right under your shoulders, and that last one, and bring it down, so feet are going to be about hip distance, we're going to find that rotation, elbows out slightly, and without moving your hips side to side or shifting the knees, I want you to just stay anchored, we're just moving from waist. Okay, just from your waist, just rotating as far as you can with just your waist. So my hips are staying level, the knees not shifting. So we're not going to move around this way. Okay, so just a little rotation and coming back to center. So you might even think of this as more of like a shoulder retraction. So I want you to pull your left shoulder back as you turn to the left and just keep your hips nice and steady and then come back to center. So we'll pull that right shoulder back more. Keep your left arm where it is, and it's just going to rotate with your body. Back to center. Okay. Inhale, not looking for any strain or discomfort. Okay. Just a little bit of extra work to rotate from the waist. Rotating. Find deep breath. Inhale. Exhale. And 1 more each side. Over. And back around. 1 more. Back to center. All right, release the arms for just a moment. Let's shake them out so you know what comes next. We add more balance challenge. Okay, so shoulders back. Let's take a little moment there. Roll them out. You can take your head side to side. Sometimes the neck will get a little tight when you're really focusing. And those shoulders like to shrug up, even when you don't think they are, and kind of tense up. All right, so let's find that center space again. Elbows out, shoulders back and down. Okay, start to float your right foot off the mat. and then rotate towards your right side. Come back to center slowly. Now, if that's a little much for your balance, go ahead and turn, and then just float the foot up for a moment, and then come back to center. So you have a couple of options. You can rotate, pause, float the foot, balance, back to center, to the other side, then floating the foot, or we can make this one nice continuous movement, rotating and floating up. Go slowly, find focus, engage, breath in, breath out, breath in. If you prefer exhaling through your nose, you could do that as well. Just kind of have that nice hollow space in the back of your throat. There's a little bit of force. Whoa, look, my balance got off. There's a little bit of force in the breath. Okay, one more. Turning to the other side. And back to center. And just release. Shake it out. So I want you to take your elbows back out to the side, but just this time, add that little kind of cat-cow tilt that you had before, opening up and lifting, a little bit of an arch, like you pull your shoulders and your arms back as your chest goes forward, and then exhale, just round it out a little bit, and kind of tapping your elbows together. Inhale, lift, exhale, round, inhale. Exhale, so we're still activating all the way from the lowest part of your belly first. Inhale, exhale. Really try to draw those shoulder blades together, not overarching in the low back. Just finding additional movement in that thoracic space. Let's take two more. Up and then back, one. All right, very nice. So now just kind of finding yourself about midway on your mat. You'll probably start with your ball to the back. You're gonna walk out about 2 big steps. So there's 1 and then 2. Making sure that your feet are anchored, your ball is anchored on the mat. And then we just kind of lean back. So at first I could sit almost kind of like on the edge of my ball, if the ball had an edge, right? So I could sit toward the side of it just a little, we could say. But then I'm gonna lean back just a little bit. But I'm not so far down that my booty is way past my knee line. So walk it back. Hips and knees would be about in the same line. Rolling back just a little bit, inhale. Exhale, start to scoop and then lift. Okay, so inhale here. And then exhale, scoop and lift. You wanna watch for that kicking back of your ball. So you don't want to rock with your feet, kind of pushing into your legs. Your legs are stable. Inhale. Exhale, lift. If we take this nice and slow, you probably will feel a little shaking happening, all right, on the way down and maybe on the way up. Got to be very mindful that you're not kind of bouncing off of your ball. Okay, so without kind of adding momentum to that. We're really slow and controlled. Scoop the tail just a little. Find deep action through the pelvis first. And then roll up. We'll take 2. And 1. And then rock it back. Open up. Just a nice little supported back bend. Oh, it's a really nice way to get a back bend in if you're not someone who feels very flexible, right? In their open chest or in your spine. You can always just kind of lie here on your ball and get that nice open chest space. Let your spine just kind of rest and conform to the ball. You might even rock it just a little bit. You never have to straighten your legs. All right, we'll come back to center. Start to roll up. So here, I want you to walk back a little bit. So we're going to sit more on top of the ball. Okay, so as we're seated a little more on top of the ball, we're going to do, it's just going to be a tiny little walkout, but with a roll down, right? So we're going to go ahead and sweep your arms just to the front of you. So my feet are out ahead of me. So you can actually walk your feet out before you begin, so that now when my knees come forward, they're going to go over my ankles. I might have to step them just a little. Okay, so inhale. And as you exhale, scoop and start to roll down and back. So that's where the ball is going to be more underneath the spine and your head would be floating. Okay, inhale, exhale, scoop and start to roll up. And you can push back a little bit so that you're lined up, shoulders over hips. Okay. Inhale, gaze forward. Exhale, start to scoop first and then roll back. So imagine that you were on a mat. Inhale, and then exhale, lift. And if you were on the mat, your feet would be on the mat, your back would be resting on the mat, or maybe your booty at this point, right? And then we would just roll it back and hover and pause. So it's the same action when we do our little rollbacks when we're seated. Come up, inhale. But anytime we add this balance ball or stability ball to the mix, we're adding a little more balance challenge. We're having to fire off a little differently through our muscles. Let's take 2 more. Inhale, exhale, roll it back. Inhale. If you need support behind your head, always feel free to take that. And pause. Good job. Roll it all the way back. So maybe walk out a step. So again, if you need support behind the head, you can take a hand behind your head. All right, but we're going to take the hands and reach them just over your chest. So I don't want you to try to strain your neck, lifting it up. You're resting back and chin is just slightly in. Again, if that's a little much, you're going to take one hand. So in this case, it might be your left hand as you then rotate over to your left and reach with your right hand. So you're rotating your shoulders. Come back to center. You can switch hands if you need support and rotate. I want you to rotate all the way over to the side and come back to center. Now, if you want to take both hands up, we try to keep the arms equally as long. So notice when you rotate, okay, and if your arms are straight, does that top arm look like it gets shorter? And if so, see if you can even out the fingertips. So kind of shift the top arm forward just a little bit. Inhale, exhale. So the closer your feet are together, the more challenged the balance will be. Inhale, exhale, or you can continue alternating your arms, but do reach that top arm as far forward as you can, not up out of the shoulder, but just kind of anchor it and rotate. So let's try 4, 3, 2. Whoa, see, I almost fell. I put my feet really close together. That shows you. It makes it more unstable, right? If you take your feet close together. So relax here. Rest your head back. Let your booty drop. You can take your arms overhead. So again, if you want to walk back further, just feel free to do so. But make sure your head feels rested and that you're not straining. We'll come back up. So here, if you want a little extra cushion under your knees, we'll do our plank rollout. Okay, so if you would like to take a blanket, I'm going to go ahead and take a blanket today. So it can be an additional folded up mat, or maybe just a squishy Pilates mat or something under there. Or it could be pillows, couch pillows, whatever you have. So it just feels nice to have the joints a little bit cushioned. So feet and knees about hip distance. So dropping your tail down. So I want you to maybe even think about kind of taking your feet and moving them a little bit further apart. That'll create a little bit of internal rotation for your thighs. Right? It means you're almost like your knees, if you were standing, your knees would look like they were turning in just a little bit. And then we can drop the tail a little, giving a little more space for the sacrum. So shoulders back. I want you to scoop the belly up like you're driving your hip points and rib cage a little closer together. So without, it's not a huge tug. I don't want you to put a lot of pressure back here, but I just want you to engage, right? Find your girdle muscles again. So inhale, starting to roll out, just landing on your forearms. Try not to let your chest collapse. And then pull back, belly up into spine and heart lifted. Okay, so inhale. So when I come forward, I have to think about kind of dialing my pubic bone up a little bit on the way back so that I'm not kind of pausing and hinging here. Okay, so not that it's awful. If you feel like you need to do that for any reason, like if you have anything going on with your low back today, maybe you're taking it a little easier, you're still getting core work for sure, rolling out, okay? But eventually we're gonna work toward that kind of full plank position if it's possible for your body today, okay? Or at any given time as you move forward, right? So inhale. Sometimes my sacrum is not gonna allow that. So I have to be really mindful of my low back, not just my sacrum, but that lower back space in the lumbar. Let's take 2 more. So I still want you to find that engagement. Pull up and in. Pelvic floor engaged. Belly to spine. Girdle muscles kind of pulling in so that you're stable. Take it out and bring it in. So just by the nature of rolling this ball forward and back, we're also using, it's really a full body, right? We're using our upper body as well. Let's take last one and hold. Okay. So shoulders are pulling back and down. You're just doing a plank hold. Notice though, is your booty kind of lifting up? It's just like when you're on the floor, right? So you want that plank position just to hold. I want you to push into your forearms. Try not to collapse over it. Okay, lift up and then pause. Shoulders back and down. You can have your hands wrapped around it a little bit or facing each other. Let's take 3 more breaths. So we're counting the breaths. Inhale, exhale. You want your tail long, shoulders back. Second breath. If you're shaking, if your ball feels like it's bouncing, then that's okay. Mine is. 1 more. And then release. Ooh, rock it back. Go ahead and come on over on your belly. So walk it out a little bit. You can round out now, just rounding over the ball in the opposite direction, right? So before we had our supported back bend, this is really more of a supported forward bend. So I'm gonna walk my blanket back out of the way. So from here, let's take a little journey with our opposites again. So making sure that your feet are on the floor, your hands are on the floor, shoulders are back and down. So you should be able to kind of find a spot here, depending on how big the ball is and the torso length of your body. But you're going to find a space where if you were to let go of the floor, you would be able to balance really easily without a lot of effort. Okay, so that's kind of the point we're looking for. That's going to be what we're calling our fulcrum point, right? Our midpoint, of which our movement is going to be coming from. So we're going to drop your hips down, shoulders pull back and down. Inhale, taking left leg lifting up, right arm reaching forward, give it a little pause, bring it back down. So we've had lots of practice at this in the past. Bring it down, but I want you to just continue to find your kind of mind-body connection with these movements. So it doesn't matter how many times you've done them. I probably could count 1,000 or more times that I've done these, but I still have to focus. All right, so tail long, belly drawn in, kind of like you're pulling your belly away from the spine. Okay, or not, excuse me, not the spine, the ball. Okay, I want you to move nice and slow, like you're moving in some water. Okay. So when you're reaching back through your foot, you can reach back through the heel. To me, that helps kind of lengthen out and really engage more. I keep my toes turned down. Some people like to reach back through the toes or the ball of the foot. I find that I don't get as much contraction for my glute when I do that. And so I like to keep it flexed. I want you to keep your tail down, push your pubic bone toward the ball just a little bit, and then engage the glute. Let's try 4. Reaching slow. There's kind of a nice slow grace to this movement. 3, 2, neck is long, gaze is just kind of down towards your mat, and 1, come back to center, and release. Oh, just round it out. You can take it, I think the best part of this is that you can rock forward and back. And we'll come back up. Oh, all the way back. All right, so let's take a little more journey on our side waist. You've got your blanket. If you want it, I do. All right, so I'm gonna stick it right there in the middle. Making sure that your ball is gonna be on the mat. Okay? This one especially, we don't want that ball shooting out from under us. So bring it all the way over. So mirroring me, bring it to your left side. Let's take the right leg out, shoulders back, coming over to the side. All right, so you can have your arm draped, or you could even have your hand resting, kind of, I like to make it almost like a little fist and just rest there if my neck is feeling like I need some support, or you can have your hand on the floor, okay? Or toward the floor, just kind of drape over. Inhale, turn the toes down a little. We'll exhale and lift, and then bring it back down. Okay, so inhale, exhale, lift, and then inhale on the way down. Exhale. Right now, I'm just kind of draped over the side. All right, so you could take that option. Like I said, you could also support your head. Or you could maybe float up a little bit higher, but your elbow should never go directly underneath your shoulder here, because you'll lean into it, right? So that if we can come up higher later as we progress, we'll work toward that. Exhale, lift. Scooping, belly to spine. This is one of those instances where we scoop, but no C-spine, right? So we are scooping, and then we're gonna engage those girdle muscles, even here, like your ribs and hips could kind of be tied toward each other without tucking, just that engagement. Exhale, lift. Shoulders back. 3, 2, take the last one, give it a little pause. We're going to take our forward, front, and back. Okay, so we reach it forward. So this is where, if the hamstrings are tight, go ahead and bend the knee. Sometimes even if they're not tight, right? I like to do this because it's going to decrease the lever. So it's going to decrease the load that I'm taking forward and back. Maybe that's what you need today. And also bending the knee, we will get more stretch through the hip flexors here when we take that leg back, and we're going to activate the glute, pushing the heel back. So this is a nice option. I kind of like this one, mixing it in with that straight legs version. All right, so pull the belly in. Try not to rock forward and back too much. You're going to maybe a little bit. Let's take 2 more. 1. And then when you have it back there, hold it. Drop your tail a little more. Scoop the belly. Your heel is toward the wall behind you, and you're going to shift your heel back in little pulses for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And now just drop it down, and it looks like a mermaid on the ball for my friend Teresa. Oh, feels really nice. Just release. Let's come back up. We're going to shift to the other side. So bring the ball in. Shifting over, toes are forward. Find all those little points that make sense to you, right? So for your body, I'm going to come up just a little higher, not too high. Rotate the toes forward and kind of down. Here we go, lifting. Deep breath. Exhale out. Hand can be here for support. If you like to take it up, maybe just a tiny bit more challenge, just to take that arm up. And notice if it's kind of moving around a lot, and see if you can keep it really steady. It's another option that you can have, but you could always bring it back down. So I want you to zip up, find your core engagement. So if you do a little experiment while you're taking movements of your limbs, especially your legs, if you try to just kind of relax your center, relax the whole core space, everything you've got from the center of the body, I want you just to relax it and try to lift your leg. And notice how hard the glute has to work to get it up there. All right, so now I want you to really engage and zip up and then lift. And maybe you notice a little difference. There's more aid happening with that core engaged. So that's how it is in daily life as well. We don't want to walk around with our core engaged all the time, but when we're lifting or doing things or have activities. All right, so take a little moment. Let's take it up. I'm going to bend the knee. Let's just go to that bent knee variation. And this is where you can take your arm up and really notice if it's shifting forward and back. So inhale, come forward. Exhale, push it back. So I'm not really trying to take my heel to the glute. I'm just taking the heel, kind of trying to keep it mostly in line with the knee, and then taking a little press back without overarching the back. So really feel the glute there, extending the leg. Let's go 3. Notice if your arm is up, if it's kind of shifting forward and back. All right, just like that. I want you to keep it steady. 2. Last 1. Now pause and pull the belly in a little more. Let's go ahead and take that little pulse back for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and release. So bring the knee down, arms can reach over. Oh, feels so nice. There's our little mermaid on the ball. Come back up and then release here. You have successfully completed some basics on the ball today. All right, so go ahead and come over. Let's just take a nice little stretch back, a little extended child's pose. You can be on or off your ball, but it feels so nice to me just to reach the arms out on the ball, letting the head and chest fall just a little bit. Let's take a couple more breaths. So you might take a little journey over to one side, just kind of walk it over and reach. And then back to the other side. So if any of this bothers your knees to stay back in a child's pose like this, you could always do this from standing. Just a nice little forward bend. And we come back to center. All right. Awesome work. All right, so that is our core on the ball.